everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're heading south out of Tampa to chase the juice train this day, down to Bradenton and Tropicana, and then we're heading north by east to Parrish and the Florida Railroad Museum. This weekend they have their Day Out with Thomas event, and we're going to go check it out. I was last there for that about 14 years ago, so it'll be cool to see all that's changed and how it's going for them. But first, we got to head south. It's Saturday, March 29th, and CSX is still using CM44 rebuilds, or biodiesels as we call them, as their preferred power for the juice train, number L700. Today I drive south fairly early this morning, hearing the juice train getting their EC1 from East Tampa to Bradenton shortly before 0700.
Morning, I'm from the main track in both directions. NAS East Tampa, main track. Mopple AZA 916.8, main track. Line 11, information on the one switch at the AZ 914.6. Metric ML.
So it drives south from the yard to Gibsonton, the first spot I'd scope out for this southbound chase today. Located on the banks of the Alafia River to the north and the Bull Creek on the south side, Gibsonton is the first community south of East Tampa on the Palmetto Sub, and the beginning of dark territory on the line. As all trains do around here, a call to the Alafia bridge tender would be needed before 700 would get here in order to line the bridge into place, utilizing a swing bridge construction to close up the waterway for the railroad and its early morning passing. The two usual biodiesels would be assigned to 700 this morning, the norm for over a year now, completely taking over Tampa locals for almost 3 years. I made a video about them down here in January of 2024, but to sum it up, the contract with Wabtec and CSX binds the 10 locomotives to the Tampa area because of fueling in their biodiesel experiments. Well, that contract was a 3-year thing, and it's been just about that amount of time. So, although mundane now to most, it would get me out here for a chase, as it's probably going to be one of the last times I do this with these specific engines. From Gibsonton, I drive south on US 41 through Ruskin and into Sun City, on the south side of the Little Manatee River, where a vacant farm now resides next to a safe train approach signal installment, notifying trains heading north that a signaled bridge is ahead. On this March morning, it would be an easy chase down 41 and into Port Manatee, where L700 would open it up to track speed, rounding the banked curve at the port right at sunrise. Bradenton would be my next spot, setting up south of the depot in downtown, next to ACL's old USNS approach signal for the Big Manatee River Bridge. This is one of the last of its kind, as most of its relatives have been removed and replaced in the past decade or so. The lighting wouldn't be amazing here, but it'd still be worth a shot for me, as 700 slowly approaches after switching Conrad Yelvington in Palmetto. That was that 914 milepost switch that the crew got in their EC1 from earlier. Not a long stop today though, dropping off one hopper and continuing to Bradenton and Tropicana. It was now 8:30 in the morning and about time for me to start making my short drive north by east on US 301 to Parrish and the Florida Railroad Museum. On this now warm March Saturday morning, the museum would be hosting its second and final weekend of this year's Day Out with Thomas event, something that I first went to when I was about 4 years old. So now 14 years later, here we are driving back to the same museum where it all started. I'd arrive a few minutes after the 9 a.m. train would leave, which would give me time to meet up with my good friend Dakota, who is the ground conductor for the entirety of this event. Trains leave on the hour, every hour, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and once the train is parked in the station at Parrish, it's under Dakota's control. And the large covered station that the museum is still working on in Parrish would be the gift shop, where Mattel has laid out plenty of toys and merchandise for fans of all kinds and ages to purchase their souvenirs, along with more trinkets available in the museum's gift shop next to the ticket office. I wouldn't distract Dakota for too long, however, as the 9 a.m. train would soon be arriving back to Parrish with a trainload of people aboard and a trainload waiting in line ready to board the next departure. At 0931, the main event would appear as Thomas coasts into the station wearing a special coat of celebratory paint, which honors the character's 80th anniversary starting way back in 1945, with the Reverend W. Awdry's Railway Series books, later adapted to film as the show many of us know and watched as kids, Thomas and Friends.
Bubbly boilers! Sir Topham Hatt has been keeping us engines very busy. I just couldn't wait to join you here today.
The museum would be using an 8-car passenger train set today, consisted of 2 open-air cars and 6 with air conditioning. There's plenty to do even in the AC, with onboard entertainment from the car hosts and a concession section in one of the cars where refreshments are sold. Almost every train on today's schedule would be sold out, making for some very interesting operations for the crew, as they managed to seat everyone comfortably and even tried to squeeze folks who had missed earlier trains. Over on the north side of the train would be 2 of the museum's usual motors, their 204, a CF7, and the 1835, a locomotive that I remember pulling my train 14 years ago with the old 8330 as well. It would be a very nostalgic outing for me, although it's crazy how much everything's changed. What matters to me though is the sheer amount of people that still come out here and enjoy this event. It's a ton of work for the museum and their employees, but to see this many people drive out just to ride a train on this hot spring weekend, I think they'd all agree that it's worth it. Speaking about it, the 10 a.m. train is all ready to go now, leaving at 10 on the dot with another loaded train. I'd stay put on the north side of the station, now about a half mile out from the platform, to get a nice shot of Thomas pulling his train back south. Back to the station, things would only be getting busier as the 11 a.m. train's line would start filling up Parrish, now stretching all the way to the parking lot. I'd stick around for one last departure as it'd be getting really hot out here and it was about lunchtime. But I can tell you, if you haven't already come by the museum for this event, you're missing out. It's a ton of fun and something not really comparable to anything else you'll see out here, especially if you were a Thomas fan as a kid. From Parrish, I'd drive to Tampa as I knew of 2 trains in the picture, so I'd snag them both on my way back home this day. Amtrak 91 would be up first, cruising by Orient Road just a couple minutes late out of Tampa today. A trash can and an old P-42 would be today's power, the norm for this Miami-bound train. After 91, I'd make a quick swing back south to the seaboard side of Tampa and Yeoman Yard. I know of a B311 coming out of Rockport Yard just a few miles to our south with a fresh cut of empties right out of the Rockport dumper. So I'd set up next to the mangroves that protect the Tampa Bypass Canal at 78th Street as 311 pulls north on the S line towards Valrico with 2 more biodiesels on point.
7264, got clear signal. Fly in. Speed, northbound.
311 would end my day out, but I'd say it was a pretty eventful morning, worth the drive to Bradenton and back. If you have any questions about events at the Florida Railroad Museum, or are just interested in riding on one of their many excursion trains, feel free to head down to their website or call them. All of that info will be in the description below. But until we see each other again, this is Christian for Multicolor Films, end of transmission.